the meeting to begin, I just want to point out to everybody who's speaking to please use your microphone. The meeting is supposed to be recorded, and that being the case, if you don't speak into the microphone, your voice won't come through on the recording. So I am now calling the Egret Point Board meeting to order, and I will turn the floor over to our Secretary, Ellen Rose, for the attendance.
Okay. President Linda Rudy.
Here.
Mr. Treasurer Jerry Silverstein. Steve Young, our Landscape Committee person. Millie and Ed. And I'm here, present, and I believe Eileen is not today.
That's
so
right.
We still have a
she
quorum.
is out due to a family health issue.
Right. So we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move on to the minutes. The board has been provided with a copy of the minutes from the September 16th meeting. I would like to hear a motion to dispense with the reading, if that's favorable. Stephen Young makes the motion. Ellen Rose seconds. Before we move to the vote, I'd like to hear if there are any questions or comments from the board regarding the minutes from last month's meeting. Okay, there being none, I will call for a vote to approve the minutes. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And, okay, the motion carries. Thank you, everybody. The minutes from last month's meeting are approved. And good morning once again to everybody. Welcome to those attending in person as well as those viewing the meeting through YouTube, we hope. It's good to see everybody who's attending in person. In October, Egret Point celebrated our first social hour of the season. We had a really nice turnout. I think there were about 30 people there. Owners should also this past month have received a mailing from the Homeowners Association. The mailing contained first notice of the annual meeting. That annual meeting will be held on Tuesday, December 16th at 1 p.m. Because of the Christmas holiday, it's held a week earlier than usual, as it is every year. But because there's already an association that meets at 10 a.m. on that Tuesday, we meet at 1 p.m. The mailing also had a copy of the amendment that was passed earlier this year, which increased the capital contribution for new buyers to $2,500. And this keeps Egret Point in line with other homeowners associations within Egret Point, within Coral Lakes. Also, in the same envelope, there was an early draft of Egret Point's proposed 2026 budget. Again, it is not finalized yet. It's still not finalized, but the Egret Point portion of next year's expenses is not expected to change too much between now and November 18th, which is when our treasurer, Jerry Silverstein, will present it to the board, and the board will be asked to vote to approve. This Sunday, is a special social hour. Egret Point is sponsoring an ice cream social, so we hope to see you there. Also, mark your calendars for the annual pressure cleaning of Egret Point driveways, sidewalks, and swales. It's scheduled for the week of November 24th. November 24th is a Monday, and it should be completed before Thanksgiving, from what they tell me. The forms are available on the porch of 6046 to sign up for optional rear patio or house pressure washing, and I'll be sending a notice out by email again closer to time. Now, as always, there will be an opportunity for comments and questions before today's meeting is adjourned. Now, next month, again, like the December meeting, because it's the week of Thanksgiving, the next board meeting will be held on the third Tuesday of the month, which is November 18th at 1 p.m. in the Palm Room. And because we're going to be discussing the budget at that meeting, the board will be available before the meeting is called to order to listen to any comments about that 2026 budget so that you can be heard before the matter comes to a vote, because otherwise your comments would be after the vote already completes. Are there any questions from the board?
What time on 11/18?
It is at 1 p.m. Okay, if there are no questions from the board, thank you for your attention. This concludes the President's report, and I will turn the floor over to Jerry Silverstein for the Treasurer's report.
Morning, everyone. I'll start with the balance sheet for September 30th, 2025. We had total operating funds of $98,727. We had total reserve funds of $68,971. We have total current assets of $172,136. Now, liability side, we have current liabilities of $34,454. We had total reserve funds, $68,971, and total liabilities / equity, $172,136. It's a balance. Now, in terms of the line items through September 30th of 2025, there are very few line items that are worthy of highlight at this point. Almost every single line item, call it magic, are almost right in line from where we projected this a year ago. It's not only going by numbers, but also by what we're projecting would be an increase going into the year. As I'm working on the current budget, and as you all know, when you work on a budget, historically you work with the president, and once we come up with that number, then it's presented, and it will be presented at the next meeting. As of right now, I believe we sent a draft out to everyone, which is hopefully we can either hold that line or maybe tweak it a little bit, but I don't see a lot of wiggle room at this point. But if we had to hold the line at this point, I would be very happy for Egret Point's portion. Now, as far as the master, which has to be added to it, that's a different story. That budget committee, which I happen to be part of, we're getting into our third month of it, and I don't know where it's going to wind up. We have a feel, but nothing that I would predict. So we're hoping that those numbers can be as attractive as we hope Egret's will be. Just to give you an idea, we have 3 more months on the Egret balance sheet, and right now we're in the black for about $3,200. But as you know, we're a small association. So some associations, they might be in the black for $30,000, or they could be in the red for $30,000. I'm happy with being in the black for $3,200 through the end of September. So with that, I'm going to open it up to the board if they have any questions about anything to deal with the Egret budget.
Well, I have just one comment, then I'll defer to Ellen. I just want to point out that when Jerry talks about being in the black by $3,200, that's actually a good thing. I just want to make you or remind everybody that our goal is actually to come in at zero. So the closer to zero we are, that means that we accurately predicted our expenses and we did not overassess any of our homeowners. And also, by the way, which will also say we don't have any special assessments either. So $3,200 is pretty good because that there is still the money to be booked for October, November, December, but it should be accurate to our anticipated expenses. And that's always our goal, is to come as close to zero as possible without going, in the negative.
One last comment from me. Thank you, Linda. That's important, so everyone has a real good understanding of the budget and what we shoot for each and every year. The one thing I will say is that historically, at least for many, many years, And the only other person in this room that can attest to that will be Dan Epstein. We've been pretty fortunate with our budget through the years. And as far as assessments, I can't recall of any. So I'm happy to report this. Thank you, Dan. I thought it was zero, but I didn't want to be very ostentatious and conceited and say zero. So I'd rather hear from Dan. Thank you. That's all I have to report.
Okay, I just want to say I think anything above zero is a good thing, even if it's $1. Jerry, I just wanted to ask you about this Flagstar CD that matures, I guess, yesterday. Am I right?
The what?
Under operating funds?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the CD?
Yeah.
Did we renew that?
Well, yesterday was the maturity date.
Right.
And as you know, I don't try to miss anything. I've already negotiated with the bank, and we now have a 12-month renewal, 3.90, which is excellent in today's rates. As you know, the Fed's reduced the rates. There's 2 more coming. And to get it for 12 months, I was really happy. I checked around other banks. They're only giving 3 months and 5 months. And the most I heard that I checked was 6 months. So to get 12 months to 3.90 in a 4% environment, I'm happy. So, yes, it's already done. I'm waiting for the disclosures, and then they will be presented and put in with Campbell Management to record. So, thank you for the question.
Any other questions for our treasurer? Then let's go ahead and move forward to the landscape report. Stephen?
Good morning, all beautiful people on the prior to Halloween. I guess I'll make a landscape report. I hope it's not too scary. So I've been doing some investigating and walking the property a lot. In the month of October, you might have seen me around walking up and down the street with a yardstick. I've been measuring a lot of the rear property as far as the north side, about some future mulch programs to enhance the shrubbage around the perimeter of the sides and the rear of the homes under the master bedroom window and the divider between patios. I've also done the same in the back on the south side, investigating and measuring all the lineage for future quotations for mulch. I also, on the south side, walked the patios to see how many people have done any work over the exposed roots from the hedge dividing the property to the canal. I tried to understand to see even how many people on the south side even go out on their patios, because a lot of their patios seem to have never been used. They're soiled or they're not cleaned. There's dead shrubs that haven't been replaced. My concern is that if there are any improvements in landscaping, especially on the south side, that before homeowners want to invest their money on that I believe an irrigation council has to be formed to ensure that everything on the south side and the north side is in good working order. I've just heard from a friend of mine who lives in Bellagio in Lake Worth. That property was built probably in 2002, and now everyone is getting an assessment, a small assessment, to pay for replacement of their complete irrigation system because it's failing. We're lucky we have a smaller irrigation system, but I know we spent money this year replacing motors and pipes and all the equipment, and I think a committee should be formed that has a hands-on situation with the equipment and has a better understanding of how it works and why it works and when it doesn't work and what could happen in the future. I know we trust Palm Beach Broward and landscaping. I have a lot of good personal will with them, but sometimes I'm in the dark. I am not an engineer. I only sell lighting. I have a passion for lighting, and I'm getting to have a passion for landscaping. I don't think I'm going to have a passion for irrigation, so that's frightful to me. So perhaps we have to form a volunteer irrigation committee in the future just to protect our property. As far as present improvements, unfortunately, we had a lovely foxtail palm that was hit by lightning, and I have 2 quotations to replace that tree. They're both about the same amount of money, and hopefully we're going to pass that shortly and have that stump removed and replaced with a new foxtail. I think also that perhaps in the landscaping portion we should have, I don't know, not a reserve fund, but a line item for future lightning strikes on trees. So I know it might only be $700 or $1,000, but still, I think we should make some room for that because with global warming and these crazy rivers that come out of nowhere like this weekend, we have to protect our property. And I think we should also tell I don't know if anyone has FEMA or any secondary insurance policies, but these days we have to make sure that our roofs are covered from rainfall damage and not just from from hurricane damage. Because these I spent $600 this week for a roof leak, so you never know. And my roof is only 10 years old, so you never know. The only other question I'm not sure about is this proposal for 2026 to have the roots removed from certain areas and sidewalks trimmed and the concrete. Is that under architectural or?
It is under architectural. I will discuss it. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to me, and everyone have a wonderful week. And nice to see you.
Are there any questions from the board for landscape?
Yeah, I don't have questions, but I have comments which might be helpful to Steve. No offense, Steve. I know you're new to the landscaping and what's going on with how things might operate through the board. You mean well by saying let's form a committee for the irrigation. I'm using that as an example. We have an expert here that knows very well, and we got to utilize him more than what we really have been, and that is Ed Schweitzer. And I have all the confidence in the world in Ed and Campbell Management, who really knows the irrigation problem throughout this community. Ed, I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just complimenting you. We don't need a committee. We don't need a committee of people that don't understand engineering like you. But we do need people like Ed who does understand it. So we can shortcut the committee in that respect, in my opinion. In terms of the other things, we are a very small community. And what other large associations do, the one you mentioned, that's for the overall association, which might be hundreds and hundreds of residents, where we have 48 units that we concentrate on. So I'm just trying to say, let's not blow things out of proportion, and let's keep it within the economic means of Egret Point and the residents of Egret. And that's the only comment I have. And don't take offense to it, Ed, Steve, please. I'm trying to be constructive.
Yeah, and actually, so I'd like to represent the other side of that that position, which is one of the things that I've noticed, and I have to say I probably see more of this than Jerry necessarily does, is that over the trend over the past few years has been to spend an increasing dollar amount and an increasing frequency of repairs to our irrigation system year over year and even quarter over quarter. And one of the things that's come to my attention is that there's a lot that has to be done under landscape. But, you know, although irrigation has to support landscape, irrigation and landscape are really two different functions. You know, so whereas the landscape chair may say we have new plantings and we need to, you know, verify that the spray coverage of the new plantings is adequate and the frequency of watering has to be increased for a certain amount of time, there are other issues that happen with irrigation, such as root impingement on pipes, such as failure of motors and pumps, and such as just the ongoing question that Jerry actually mentioned and also Stephen mentioned of, is our irrigation system adequate after 30 plus years to address our needs? And if there is to be a major investment in that somebody says is required, we want somebody who is familiar with it representing Egret Point, perhaps to work hand in hand with Ed to address that issue. And so I have to say I come down on the side of what Stephen mentioned, which is we do want to have some increased attention to irrigation in the community. And so right now we're pulling together the records on that so that we can see where does our irrigation stand, what are our needs, how much have we had to pay out in the past year and prior years for irrigation, so that we can look at the trend and actually perhaps devote some focused attention to it. I don't know that we need a committee of people, but we certainly need somebody to focus in on that. And I would say separate from landscape, because although they're closely related, they also are different, and each one requires a different type of attention.
Linda, as you know, I'm not preempting our budget meeting of next month, but one of the items that we're increasing is irrigation maintenance. We recognize that. So, but we've been very fortunate that through the years at this point, and we recognize that it's an aging infrastructure. So that is being, we recognize it, it's being looked at. We're projecting some additional money for that, and we'll talk about it next month at the budget when I present it. So I think that's enough on that.
Okay, so shall we move on? Okay, go ahead, Stephen.
All right, so moving forward, if I have any issues with irrigation, is it addressed to Joe Garza or is it addressed to you?
Well, it should be addressed to Joe. But
Okay.
anytime that I can be included in the process, I'm happy to do so. Often I can help guide, both the association and sometimes also help save a few bucks, because, Palm Beach Power can't tell me something, that I don't.
All right.
Palm Beach Power can't tell me something that I don't already know about the system, so often for you, like you said, you may not be an irrigation, and don't want to be an irrigation expert, and I don't blame you, but I'm happy to help wherever I can.
All right. So I'm looking at this irrigation schedule that Joe sent me probably in March, and I took it and I labeled it and I photographed it. I could always forward it to you. Is there any other line? Are there any line drawings of where all the pipes are on our project, on like an architectural plan or an engineering plan?
The county has documents that are permit documents, but they're not as-built. And I don't know that there are many as-built. There's a handful of them for the community here and there, but there's no complete set for the entire community. Joe has a handful of them.
Okay. And he told me 2 days ago that this irrigation schedule is current. It hasn't been changed.
Correct.
Okay, we will check with Laurel to see if she inherited a copy of the plans for Egret Point. Yeah. Okay, just give me a second to make that a takeaway, and
Yeah, my understanding is they did. I went looking for them, and they said, this is what we have, and if it's not there, we don't have it.
okay, let's go ahead and move on. The next item on our agenda is the Architecture Committee report, and so I will present that. As was mentioned earlier, there are not too many, but there are some lifted sidewalk slabs in Egret Point. They're lifted due to tree root incursion. And so plans are in the works to have those sidewalk slabs shaved. We do this, I would say, every 3 or 4 years. So if we're I won't say well along in the process. If the truck were on the street, I'd say we're well along. But we're moving forward, and so that should be completed between now and the end of the year, hopefully. In fact, Ed and I have an appointment to just walk the street to verify where we saw the lifted slabs is the complete list of them so that we don't miss anything. As mentioned earlier, the pressure wash is coming up. That will take place on well, it should start Monday, November 24th. The truck should be on the block. Complete Spray Tech was our technician the last 2 years, and they actually gave us very good pricing to continue to handle it for this year and next year as well. I will tell you, if you have a custom driveway, the ones that have like the different colored squares, to me, it always looks like giraffe spots, you know. Marbling, yeah, something like that. So we do, the homeowners association does not treat those driveways just because in our experience it could create a fading in the color and so on. But whether you have that custom driveway or not, there are optional add-ons if folks are interested to have their rear patio pressure washed at a cost of $40. You could also have your whole house pressure washed at a cost of $90. So the two for $130 if you're interested. As I said, there are forms to fill out and you return it with your check. Your check is your reservation for having this done. I do want to point out, it does say it in the paperwork, but if you want your house pressure washed, your windows will get wet incidentally, but they are not cleaning your windows. Apparently that is, I guess, a different task with different material and so on. So pressure washing your house will wet your windows and rinse them, but it is not cleaning your windows, in case anybody is thinking about that. The other thing is last month, Roger and Beverly Harmon came in and did a little presentation and opened up the questions about perhaps getting a rain shield over the front screen door or the edge of everybody's front porch. So Ed was kind enough to provide us with some resources for that, and Roger will follow up on that. So they were not ready as of today to present any kind of update on it, but just so you know, it is still in the works. It is something that, just to reiterate, if we can come up with a provider that could offer a community-wide price, and we could agree that this is the specification or the allowable options within the community, it will be presented to everyone so that each one, it's not paid for by the HOA, but the HOA could coordinate working with a vendor for the arrangements in order to give everybody the option to do this for their home if they're interested. Ed, was I seeing that you have a comment along those lines? Or no? Okay. So anyway, we will hear more about that. It is something that we're interested in pursuing, and should we pursue it, we'd like to have it open to everybody in the community to use the same source for obtaining this so that we've got consistency on the block for those who want to have it. Are there any questions from the board? Stephen?
What if I want a quotation from these people doing the pressure cleaning to pressure clean my precast concrete blocks that I have the perimeter of my front garden?
If you look on the form, I believe their phone number is on there, and if it's not, I
Oh,
can certainly give it to you.
okay.
Or what you can do, if you will email me your question, Bob Fritchie is the person who owns the company, very responsive to email. So I will forward your email to him if you just send me the question and get you a response on that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, well, let's move on to the Hospitality Committee report. Eileen Bard is our hospitality chair. I will share with her permission for those who do not know that unfortunately her husband, Al had, he had a stroke and then he had a second, like a mini stroke while they were up in Maryland. And so he's been treated in the hospital. He's coming through very well. He's in rehab now. If he meets certain milestones, he'll be out of rehab soon. Then he needs to continue outpatient rehab for like the next month. So they have pushed back their arrival back in the community to the end of the month. However, Life on Egret Point has an ice cream social scheduled. So allow me to share with you all that the ice cream social is set for this coming Sunday, November 2nd at 4 p.m. by the pool. We'll have an assortment of individually wrapped ice cream novelties. I do have to say, don't get your hopes up for an ice cream truck. There will not be an ice cream truck, even though I put a picture of a truck in the flyer, okay? Sorry about that. It's just a misunderstanding. But, yeah, but we'll have an assortment of ice cream novelties. If you could RSVP, it would be appreciated just to make sure that we've got, the right amount of ice cream. And so that is this Sunday at 4 o'clock. And I don't think there's any other hospitality news to be shared except for what Ellen Rose is going to share with us.
Okay, so to that end, after speaking about Al, for those of you that, and I know she wouldn't mind me saying this, Ellen Goldberg, who lives on our block, also had a surprise heart procedure. She didn't feel well. She was in New York. She went to the hospital, and she's doing really well because she also has some other, issues, and she's really doing great. And I think she's still in rehab and should be coming out soon. But I wanted everybody to know, and cards have been sent to all these people because Eileen is usually the one that does it, so I've been sending them out. In fact, unfortunately, we ran out of cards, so Linda purchased a lot of cards, both sympathy and get well, from Amazon. So, but just so you know about Ellen, but she's doing really well, so I wanted everyone to know.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? All right, I'm going to turn the floor over to Ed and Millie for our property manager report.
Thank you, Linda. Good morning, everyone. All right, so, as Linda mentioned earlier, we are going to be working on the sidewalk grinding project. It won't disturb anybody as far as we know. It's a pretty quick process once we get it all laid out. As far as work orders go for the month of September, at the time that this report was generated, we had 4 work orders, 3 of which were closed out at the time, but I'm sure that the one remaining item, which was irrigation, has been closed out. You've been receiving mailings, as Linda mentioned earlier, from the association. Please, you'll continue to receive additional mailings. Open them right away, provide the information requested, and the association really needs everyone to participate in this because we are a small association and every vote counts. So we appreciate your cooperation with that, and that is my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Millie, did you have anything to add?
Nothing to add. Thank you, Ed, for doing my report for me.
Thank you both. Okay, we're going to move to old business. Does anyone have old business to bring before the board? Stephen?
I have kind of old new business. At the last meeting with the Master Board Landscaping, my request to have some landscape repairs done as far as shrubbery and bushes. One being in front of the swimming pool behind Andy's house or beside Andy's house, and the other at the front entrance where the gate is. There's a bunch of dead ixoras. That has been budgeted, so we should hopefully be seeing those repairs done in the beginning of the year. And as far as seasonal landscaping, we will be getting in the front entrance impatiens, I think in pink, red, and white. So that's where we are right now with the master. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any, if there is no other old business, is there any new business? Okay, there being none, let me open up the floor to questions and comments from our attendees. Would anyone like to speak? Would you mind coming up here, Robin, so that way you'll be on camera and use the microphone so that it gets on the recording. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Robin Cherkis. Earlier in the year, I think you were discussing adding lanais onto the back of the properties. Has anything been resolved or discussed about that?
Yes, that was something brought up before the board. Just to bring you up to speed on it, the board's decision was that if somebody wants to build a rear screened-in lanai or a screen porch, the board will approve it so long as they get a permit from the county to build it. So since that decision came in, there are a few people that got estimates for that work. What happened is I haven't heard about anybody on the north side of the street doing this yet, but on the south side of the street, unfortunately, the couple people that got estimates for it found out that due to the elevation, the tree root incursion, and the narrowness of the space, that their patio area was not a good candidate to have a lanai put in because it was something about, and it was also something about the footers. There wasn't enough room to put the footers down, and there were pipes under the dirt. So, you know, it's not that the HOA would not allow it, we would, but the homeowners really need to pursue it by getting an estimate, finding out if the work can be done, and it would have to be done by somebody who gets a permit to do it. And once you reach those hurdles, then the work can move forward.
A couple other things. Are there any restrictions if I decide to add a generator to property? And also, in place of a lanai, an awning attached to the roof? I don't know if there are any restrictions or rules.
Hello. Okay, so I can answer both of those. We have 4 or 5 homes on the block that already have in-ground whole house generators with in-ground propane tanks. So there is a precedent. It would be approved, but again, that would also need to go through the ARB process so that the work is performed by somebody who is licensed, insured, and so on. But the HOA will approve it. Regarding awnings, there are also a number of homes that already have the roll-up retractable awnings, because generally our stance has been anything that you put up, unless it's like a roll-backable awning, has to be removable. So you will see in some homes, if you were to walk behind the homes, some people have umbrellas or they've got like shade structures, but all of those can be removed in the event of a hurricane. For an awning, the reason that you would want to get a retractable awning was so that in the event of hurricane, it could be rolled up. But again, there is precedent for that. So you would put it in ARB, but there's no reason it wouldn't be approved as long as the provider was licensed and insured.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions from the floor?
Linda and I can give you a reference for the generator.
Yeah, that's true. We use the same generator provider. Also, Ravina Katz has it, Howard Cohen has it, so there are several on the block, yeah. I will just say, the annual cost of it is more than you think. I just want to put that out there. It's not one and done.
Living in Florida with the chance of thunderstorms and hurricanes,
Oh, yeah.
I think is well worth it.
I don't think
Okay.
I don't think my generator has ever gone on.
Oh, it goes on. Believe me, mine goes on, yeah.
Goes on as a test.
Well, it tests itself once a week, but if the power goes out, you don't even realize. You think maybe there's a brownout, but it actually flips over. Yeah. Yeah. Leslie agrees. Okay, so
I just want to make a
go ahead,
comment
Ellen.
about that. I've lived in Florida for over 40 years. I've been through many hurricanes, including Andrew, which of course didn't affect us. I was in Fort Lauderdale. Excuse me? Yeah, I did. Anyway, we have a generator. We don't have the fancy kind. We just have a regular generator, which we all ran out in my neighborhood and bought after Wilma. And I will say the one time we used it here, which was for, I don't even remember the name, it kept my house cool, which was all I cared about. What? You know what? I don't care about food. I just want to be cool. And the truth is that, despite what people think, Publix does usually open the next day, and it's gotten much better with Publix since the very first days I was here, when it would take 3 days for them to reopen. But I just want to put that out there, that if you're interested in a generator, look into one that is, I forget how many BTUs or whatever they call them, but it did cool my whole house. So just information.
Okay, on that note, I will officially adjourn the meeting, or maybe I need to hear a motion to adjourn? Okay, Jerry makes the motion, Stephen seconds, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for being here. I believe I said our next meeting is Tuesday, November 18th at 1 p.m. Different week, different time, same day.
I already